Ludic. Of, relating to, or characterized by play. Narrative. The representation in art of an event or story. Ludonarrative. Has no definition in Merriam-Webster, so I'm going to take a crack at it. The dynamic between a game's narrative and its ludic elements. In his video on Far Cry 3, DJ Peach Cobbler neatly introduces the concepts of ludonarrative dissonance, when the gameplay doesn't align with the story being told, and ludonarrative harmony, when the plot and gameplay align to enhance the overall story. Far Cry 3 tells a story of a privileged trust fund douchebag named Jason Brody. It's all in the name. Who's vacationing on a tropical paradise when pirates kidnap him and his friends. He's nothing like the typical video game protagonist in the beginning, but to save his friends, he has to become one, learning to fight and to kill. However, the game meditates on how doing the things you do in these games would affect a person's psyche. As you progress, unlocking new weapons and abilities and clearing pirate camps around the island, Jason becomes increasingly desensitized to violence, to the point that he's unrecognizable to his friends after he rescues them.
I think no mechanic in this game better encapsulates this progression of his character than the takedown. You sneak up on an enemy and can do a pre-animated takedown move, but as you progress into the game, you unlock more brutal and fun ways of dispatching your enemies. In most games, this would be it. You get more powerful in every game. But in this one, there are story ramifications. You start killing in order to rescue your friends, but as you become better at it, your friends become scared of you.
Okay, and you're carrying all these weapons and you have all these weird tattoos. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go rescue them. I'm just worried it's affecting you.
The story of trauma corrupting someone and making them into the same kind of monster that hurt them, the hero becoming a villain, is a recurring character arc explored by all kinds of media. But Far Cry 3, as a game, is a uniquely standout iteration of this story because you, the player, drive it through your actions.
In Far Cry 3, every shot, every stab, every explosion, I was pushing the story forward. I didn't watch a character slowly turn into a killer. I was the guy pulling the goddamn trigger. I was pushing Jason Brody down a dark, violent path through my actions as a player. But on a story level, Jason was driven down this path by the pain he suffered at the hands of Voss and Hoyt, men who had killed his brothers and tortured his friends.
After Jason saves his friends, he sends them home, but stays behind to kill the drug lord, Hoyt, who was behind Voss's operation. By then, you've already unlocked all the weapons and abilities, and since your progression stagnates, the gameplay and the violence therein starts to get rote.
You've unlocked every skill that was worth unlocking, you have every weapon, the game doesn't have any more shiny toys to give you, so you start reflecting. When first playing this game, this is when I first started to really doubt Jason's actions. Voss, the man that killed his brother, is dead. All his friends that survived are safe as far as he knows, so why is Jason still here? Why is he doing this?
The new island that's unlocked gives you new camps to clear and tougher enemies to fight and new missions to undertake. But Jason has plateaued, both in his ludic progression and in the narrative, as there's no real urgent reason for Jason to be hunting down Hoyt. He's just doing it to do it.
The gameplay, while still fun, has an unsettling overtone to it. There's nothing left to fight for, you're just violent for the sake of being violent.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change.
That is, until you learn your brother isn't dead, and Hoyt had him captive the whole time. Then the fight is to rescue him. But before Jason learned that, he'd pushed far beyond what was necessary to save his friends. And past that point, he was no longer a hero.
The game had used its gameplay to trick me into thinking that I was becoming stronger, much like Jason had tricked himself into thinking the same thing. The mechanics of the game made me connect with the character in a way no other art form could ever touch. Far Cry 3 stands as a testament to the raw potential that video games have when it comes to telling a story.
The final little twist to the game comes in the form of deciding what kind of person Jason has become after all this. Is he still, deep down, the same Jason who was willing to go to any lengths to save his friends, or has he lost himself to all the bloodshed? DJ Peach Cobbler brings up the ludonarrative dissonance of a game like GTA 4, where you play as a man who is supposed to be tired of violence and who wants a new beginning, but while you play, you can freely run pedestrians down with your car and go on mass killing sprees, things Nico Bellic wouldn't ever do. So there's a debate regarding ludonarrative dissonance. While many people, like DJ Peach Cobbler, believe it hurts a game's ability to tell a poignant story, while others, like myself, say that it isn't always necessary for gameplay to completely align with the story, because ludonarrative dissonance can be counteracted by suspension of disbelief, and/or is worth sacrificing for player freedom. Personally, I'm not bothered by the GTA example, as those actions are entirely optional. Ludonarrative dissonance would be a direct result of the player's free will, and if they care about ludonarrative harmony, they can roleplay in the open world based on how they see the character. Rockstar Games' next title following GTA 4 was Red Dead Redemption. The player character, John Marston, used to run with the notorious Vanderling gang, but has since turned a new leaf as a rancher. However, the government kidnaps his wife and son and tasks him with hunting down former members of his gang, bringing them to justice in exchange for a pardon and his family's safe return. Like GTA 4, it's an open-world sandbox, and the player is free to run around causing whatever mayhem they please, even though it isn't in John's character to do so. The game incorporates an honor system, where if you do good or bad deeds, you gain or lose honor, and NPCs react accordingly. It ties to John's redemption and the themes of the game, and incorporates the player's free will into the ludonarrative dynamic without compromising the overall story they aim to tell. And while there's no honor system in GTA 5, there are 3 protagonists with distinct personalities, partially inspired by different types of GTA players and different types of criminals. Franklin is a young man who wants a better life and seeks to go from a 2-bit gangster to a professional criminal, a more traditional character for these games, representing the player who wants to see their character progress from rags to riches. Michael is a retired bank robber who already has it all but turns back to crime because he's bored, representing the long-time or returning player who's already played through that type of game and is just there for the ride. And Trevor is a dirty, filthy maniac who revels in violence, representing the player who just wants to use a sandbox of the game as a playground to cause chaos and mayhem in. Trevor is widely regarded as the only modern Rockstar character who would actually do the things players like to do in GTA games, such as stand in the middle of a highway and fire missiles at random cars. You can freely switch between all 3 characters at any time and choose to play the character who you think best fits the activities you wish to do. The recent few Sniper Elite games use another storytelling technique that only games could. Sniper Elite is a series of stealth sandbox third-person shooters set during World War II. You play as Carl Fairburn, who is, predictably, an elite sniper who goes deep behind enemy lines to wage one-man guerrilla warfare. In Sniper Elite, the ludonarrative dissonance or harmony is tied to how you choose to play the game, particularly in what difficulty you choose. On the easiest difficulty, your enemies will be chickens with their heads cut off. You can slow down time while aiming, and indicators will tell you where your shots will land based on the wind and distance, or you can turn ballistics off entirely. On authentic difficulty, your enemies will be cunning, you have a limited HUD, you can't tag enemies, and there are no aiming assists at all. It encourages stealth and careful planning and execution to accomplish your objectives. If you don't, you'll be torn to shreds by your enemies, which sounds pretty authentic to me. That connects back to another glaring ludonarrative flaw with these kinds of games that critics have oft pointed out. We kill and kill and kill in Red Dead Redemption 2. As critics and players, we've already argued about the ethics of presenting violence as blasé, but what's less discussed is how the stratospheric body count effectively robs shooters of dramatic potency. When Arthur Morgan single-handedly dispatches 40 or 50 or 60 Saint-Denis officers, his later conversations with Dutch about how the gang has to keep a low profile and is at risk of being killed by the pursuing law become very hard to take seriously.
Shoot torpedoes, okay? Yes, now blow up your little battleships.
In a game like Doom, a massive kill count makes narrative sense. Doom is all about fast-paced, intense action and is incredibly fun for it, and that gameplay is all a part of your character. You are Doom Guy, terror of demons who must rip and tear until it is done. The shooting in Red Dead is also incredibly fun. It makes you feel like the single baddest gunslinger to ever clink spurs. If you are only presented with a few people to shoot in every mission to stay realistic, like in LA Noire, it just wouldn't be fun, however compelling the narrative may be. And sometimes, the narrative isn't supposed to be realistic, and is supposed to portray violence in a blasé fashion. Postal 2 is about going postal. You are presented with a series of menial tasks with annoying people who make completing them as irritating as possible, all to goad you into using your arsenal of weapons to mow them down. The game is intentionally crude, offensive, and violent for the sake of shock humor and parody. You literally have a button to unzip your pants and pee at stuff, including people or on yourself. As a matter of fact, it's a convenient way to put yourself out if you catch fire, which is probably going to happen when you are dumping gas on people and throwing matches at them. There's also hatred.
I just fucking hate this world. My whole life is just cold, bitter hatred. Nothing can stop me. A fearless, remorseless genocide machine. Welcome to your nightmare, motherfuckers.
A game about killing as many people as possible, just for the sake of doing it, and being as edgy as possible for no reason other than to offend people in the spirit of black metal, and as a direct response to the idea of games as art, with isometric gameplay inspired by the original Postal, which actually does have artistic, social commentary on what drives people to go postal, far more so than Postal 2. According to the developers at Destructive Creations, in times where a lot of games are heading to be polite, colorful, politically correct, and trying to be some kind of higher art, rather than just an entertainment, we wanted to create something against trends, something different, something that could give the player a pure gaming pleasure. Games need to be fun to play. That's the whole point of a game as opposed to other mediums. And often, the challenge of combat is a part of that fun, so body counts will necessarily pile up to ludicrous degrees to facilitate engaging gameplay.
Oh my god!
Fucking shit.
Even if it's unrealistic and contrary to the narrative. It's a tricky balance to strike. And sometimes there just isn't any right answer. Suspension of disbelief ultimately comes down to individual tolerance. And in fact, some gamers enjoy some video gamey aspects and immersion-breaking quirks that remind them it's a game.
No need. I was here in time. Get out of here. Take care of yourself.
Mind if I sit a minute? Oh, my lord above.
What was that?
Fast.
Are you a sex offender or something?
harder. Sly and smooth.
Slow movements, okay? I don't know what kind of side effect the procedure might have had.
I'm listening.
No one.
If this is my life, kill me now.
Help some fellas out, master.
Bad guys won't see us coming. Right now.
It hurts. Don't leave me.
I've seen enough. Let's go.
Wubway, fuck you.
Games are artistic depictions of their subjects, after all. I know skinning a rabbit isn't as simple as taking a firm grasp and ripping its flesh off, like Arthur Morgan does.
Ripping them, no knife needed. That's what I was saying about they're easier to skin than a squirrel.
Thanks, Arthur.
But I don't want to do all the actual work skinning entails. I want to play a game, so I would rather it be unrealistic at times. I know what the animation represents. It's pretty neat, and it makes the process more immersive than pressing A and having +1 rabbit pelt show on the side of the screen without my character doing anything, and the rabbit model keeping its pelt, so I'm perfectly satisfied. Gamers, myself included, also even enjoy things that could broadly be considered jank, like basically everything about Roach, Geralt's horse in The Witcher 3. Roach's handling was abysmal, and when Geralt whistled for him, he liked to spawn on rooftops. Gamers found this all quite amusing, and CD Projekt Red rolled with it and included references to this as Easter eggs in Cyberpunk 2077 and Gwent, the Witcher card game.
It's a fence. Yeah, I'm sorry, I cannot go. The end of the fence is right there. Right there. So walk to the end of it and then just go around.
It's impossible for me to do this right now. The fence is impossible. Can we find something else?
Hey, know how you always show up when I whistle? How's that work exactly?
Well, you're my human. Gotta be there when you need me. Yes, I'll be there for you, ooh, as the world falls down.
Still kinda strange. How you cross the ocean when I call sometimes, but then get hung up on the tiniest fence. What's that about?
What can I say? Everyone's got limits.
Also, consider the beloved giant space program glitch from Skyrim. In Skyrim, the damage dealt to the player also translates to knockback upon death. For low-level, low-health players and NPCs, the damage dealt by giants translated as such a high knockback that they would go rocketing into the sky, to the point the entire map would be visible. It is absolutely immersion-breaking, but it's so funny that nobody cares. Skyrim's horses are also strange in that they can scale nearly vertical surfaces like mountainsides, and that you can put buckets on people's heads to block their sightlines, enabling you to freely rob them blind because they don't have any programmed reaction to you doing that to them. This jank has become a part of Skyrim's identity and gives the game charm. It's the foibles and imperfections that remind you that this is something that people crafted rather than manufactured, and that makes it feel all the more cozy. Just like with an old car, they allow you to form a relationship with it because you know all the little quirks it has that those less familiar with it don't, and it gives the game a personality you can connect with, making your experience with the game feel intimate and unique to you. Then again, Skyrim is very different from Red Dead 2, and players expect different experiences from them.
Alright, that's enough for one day.
You ain't kidding.
Pardon me.
The end is near. Hide. There will be no one left alive when they arrive.
Huh?